Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Wechat, and I am here with Sylvester Demuyakor. Sylvester will have a chance to introduce himself very shortly, but I am one of the co-founders of Africans on China. We are a media startup on a mission to amplify the African voice on China. So what that means is that we have a website, which I'm also going to put in the chat, which is intended to amplify African voices and perspectives on China. As a part of that work, we also provide business services and consultancy around education and business for Africans who want to get involved with China. And we also provide the same services for Chinese people or Chinese businesses who want to engage with Africa. Our vision is that, ultimately Africa can liaise with China on an equal footing. And I think by bringing everyone together, we position ourselves to do that. So I just put in our chat, our website. If you have not heard of us before, I see so many familiar names in the chat. Some of the students that we work with across university campuses in Africa. So I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of us and our work. But if you have not, please definitely give our website a chance. That's where we really scale the work that we're interested in and the work that we're doing. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about today's event, and then Sylvester will introduce himself and what he's going to talk about for today. So the intent for today's event is to talk about doing business with and in China. As some of you already know, as some of you are still learning, China will have the largest economy in the world in just 10 years. In just a decade, China will have the largest economy in the world. There's so much conversation in the African space and the Black diaspora space about China, but we don't think there are enough resources for people as to how we can liaise with China on more beneficial footing, right? We know that Africa can't stand on its own as an island in a globalized world, right? So how do we empower and position Africans to be beneficial or benefacting actors in the China-Africa space? The I guess the last thing for me about this event is, we're going to talk about 10 business opportunities that you can start from anywhere, in your home, wherever you may be on the continent, if you're in the diaspora, where you can benefit from China's economic rebound today. As you all know, we're in a global pandemic. A lot of economies are struggling. But what we've seen from reports is that China has already seen rapid increase in manufacturing, rapid increase in export over the last few months. So China, as the rest of the world is kind of trying to figure it out, is currently in experiencing an economic rebound. So this would be an opportunity to see how we can benefit from that immediately, as well as why learning just a little bit of Chinese helps with this. And then finally, I know some of the students here are here to talk about, we'll have a Q&A, and then students will get an opportunity to talk with one of our resource persons about the Schwarzman scholarship. So if you're interested in that, that'll be coming shortly after the business event. So Sylvester, I'll leave it up to you at this time.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Bridget, for the wonderful introduction of our work and our projects so far, letting participants know what we've been doing all these years. So I'm very happy to be here. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Sylvester Demuyako. Don't worry if you can't remember the surname. Just remember Sylvester, and that's fine. I graduated from the University of Ghana a few years ago with a degree in political science and Chinese. Immediately, I got the opportunity to go to China for my master's degree. And as a matter of fact, I just came back during the lockdown. I was in China Foreign Affairs University for 1 year, reading international relations. For the past years, my life has been very much interested in China-African relations, the rise of China, and what that means for Africa. And so I'm also a co-founder of Africans on China, like Bridget said earlier. And our focus and our overarching aim is to make sure that we amplify and elevate the African voice on China's presence on the continent. So today I'm going to introduce all of you to 10 business opportunities that I believe as Africans we should be mindful of, we should take cognizance of. I have to say that these opportunities that I'm going to be talking about are both large scale and small scale. In other words, some of them are big. You need a lot of money to, but they are opportunities, by the way. Some of them, so you can just start from your phone, and that is it. So, without much ado, I'm going to zoom straight into the business opportunities. Now, before I start, I want to give you something, right, to base these particular opportunities I'm going to speak about on an idea, and that is from last year. He said something very profound to the entrepreneurs, which I think you should be aware of. He said that don't worry about competitors, right? It's not the way you run, but the way you stay good. And entrepreneurs don't cry, they make competitors cry, right? I find it both interesting and funny at the same time. But just to let you know that these business opportunities that I'm going to be speaking about are not new, right? They are not something from the skies. These are things that you might be aware of, things that you might even have started doing. But just to say that there is competition in whatever it is, and all you have to do is make sure that you stay focused, and that is it. So the first business opportunity I want to introduce to you today is so with no order. I want to say that there is an opportunity to help quicken Africa's industrialization process. Why do I say this? Currently, due to rising wages and intense competition back home in China, Chinese companies, right, in the labor intensive industries such as textiles and the leather and the agro processing and light manufacturing are looking to relocate to their production lines to Africa, a lot of them. And in fact, already Chinese car factories assemble in South Africa. And then we have mainland footwear companies have also expanded into Ethiopia. And then Chinese entrepreneurs actually have opened textile plants in Rwanda and other operations across the continent. What I mean to say is that there is that opportunity to have joint partnership with Chinese companies who are looking to relocate due to the high wages back home and due to the intense competition in China. They are really looking out there to relocate to places like Africa. And so the opportunity is to have the joint venture partnership, right, to bring down these Chinese manufacturing companies that are seeking to, as it were, outsource, right, manufacturing lines and their operations to Africa, right? So this is, you can say it's a big scale kind of opportunity, but it's something that you can look out there if you're an investor, if somebody wants to invest big into Africa, you can actually lure these Chinese companies to come down to Africa. That is an opportunity there. Now, the second opportunity I want to speak about is the fact that there is that opportunity to represent or become a Chinese company agent, right, or distributor in Africa. Thousands of wide variety of Chinese suppliers actually looking for agents every day in Africa. And 3 days ago, I realized on Alibaba.com about 2,755, right? Just when I was checking, about 2,755 Chinese companies are looking out for agents specifically in Africa, right? And when I came back from China, I had a friend who contacted me and said, "Hey, Sylvester, do you want to represent our company here in Ghana?" Sorry, I forgot. I'm here. I'm currently in Ghana. Do you want to represent our company in Ghana? And so that's an opportunity. It's big, and so there is that trade. There are actually trade shows, right, and fairs where you can meet these companies. Apart from the Alibaba.com I just spoke about, you can attend fairs and shows. And I'm going to leave a particular link here with you. That is MIE Group. So let me just leave it on the charts so you can all have access, right? Okay, right, I get it there. So you can check their website. They are an exhibition company. They organize B2B meetings for Chinese companies and African businesses looking out for China. So you can check out the Chinese are actually looking for agents in Africa. So, but mind you, one thing I want to say that it is advisable to look out for the Chinese companies with the exact product you feel will sell right in your network through network in mind, right? Strive to be the exclusive. And another advice I will give on this particular opportunity is that while you look out to become an agent in Africa, try and strive to be the exclusive distributor in the contract terms to avoid being cut out. It's very important because over the years, Chinese companies, most of them have cut out the agents in Africa. So that is one thing I want you to be mindful of. The other thing is the popular human hair business that you all know about, right? And this can't be underestimated. It is big. It is actually estimated that Africa's dry hair, right, market, that is the market for weaves and wigs and hair extensions, is currently worth over 6 billion a year, and it's still growing rapidly. That is huge. And in 2012 alone, China exported nearly 75% of the world's human hair. In other words, China can be a destination where you can source your human hair from, so that you can sell it back in Africa. And many people are making good money out of this business, especially in Nigeria. I know that is a huge business that people are engaged in. So you can also look at it. The fact about this is that you don't need much to start this business. It depends on the market, on where you are. You can just source from China. You can, there are many people who are sourcing, so you can take it from them and all that. And as also Africans from China, we will be sharing with you as times go on, about where you can get specific products from China. So please follow our website and follow our social media platforms. We'll be sharing some of these opportunities there. The third thing I want to speak about is the fact that you can tap into China's booming e-commerce, and especially for those in China currently, it is something that you need to, right, if you have the opportunity, because China's e-commerce market is the largest in the world, with a volume of about 1.94 trillion, right, in 2019. That is huge. And then most service giants have allowed sales channels in China. Nearly half of the world's e-commerce sales right now, in 2019 actually occurred in China alone. That is something that you need to take advantage of. And China represents about 54.7% of the global e-commerce market. That is just to give you an idea of the fact that e-commerce is a big thing now in China, and you wouldn't want to miss the opportunity. There is a huge platform for B2B, for B2C and C2C, if you want, business to customers and business to business and customer to customer. Another thing you want to be mindful about this, that is the e-commerce, is that you can't actually create only a standalone website. You will have to take advantage of the online mall or store Chinese-based intermediaries, right? Those of you in China, you might be aware of Tmall, JD Worldwide, and Suning Global, and all that. They are all virtual malls for thousands of different businesses. So that is, and you want to take advantage of China's e-commerce business. I'm going to share a link as well to learn more about China's e-commerce and how you can actually take advantage of that. There are some new rules there, and you want to keep abreast with, right? I've shared it in there. So that is the e-commerce opportunity for you. The next thing I want to talk about is the opportunity, right, to export natural and organic skincare and beauty products to China's growing middle income people. Skincare products like moisturizers, right, and sunscreen made with natural ingredients.
Shea
Will
butter.
have
I see a lot of shea butter coming into the Chinese market.
Yes, I'm going to mention that. I'm going to mention that could have actually have a good chance of appealing to health conscious Chinese consumers, right? So some of these products, these natural skin products you want to think about is African black soap, right? Aloe vera, shea butter, right? Bridget just mentioned it. Cocoa, right? Baobab, Kalahari, and even charcoal, right? Because these are organic stuff, these are natural stuff that the Chinese people are becoming more interested in. And there is a rise in demand for this natural and organic product in China. Actually, I think in 2018, during one of the expos during China International Export Import Expo in Shanghai, one of the exhibitors from Togo actually said that she was surprised and she never imagined her shea butter products could be so popular among Chinese customers because few Chinese know about shea butter. So it is something you want to look into. And the other thing, of course, is the mobile phones and other electronic accessories that you are all aware of. And actually, in Africa, the smartphones per capita is increasing with our youthful population of 60% under 25. In other words, as these youth come up, they will want to use mobile phones. So this remains a huge opportunity. You can source from China mobile phones and other electronic accessories. I want to specify something here. Many people know that China phones is tantamount to fake phones, right? And I was surprised when I got to China and I wanted a phone worth 100 Ghana cedis, right? Or 200 Ghana cedis, and I couldn't get it. I was shocked. Most of the phones that they sell there are actually a bit expensive and quality. The phones we see in Africa are actually manufactured for export. So when you get into the Chinese market and you want mobile phones or accessories, you have options. The Chinese will say "ifan chen, ifan huo." In other words, it depends on how much money you have will determine what you can bring home to retail, which I want all of us to be aware of. The Chinese products, they have different types, they have different kinds. When you get there, it depends on what you want, and they will definitely give you. I brought a power bank from China, and most of my friends are like, "I've not seen this in Ghana." I mean, and I said, yes, I bought this from China, and they were surprised. What I want to say is that there are different prices for the items, the mobile phones and the accessories you want to source from China. The next business opportunity I want to touch on is the agribusiness, right? This is actually something that we have advantage of. We have an edge, that is because Africa is rich in natural and agricultural products, right? Um, the products that are selling much in the Chinese market include soya beans, right? China imports a lot of soya beans and oil seeds. So you want to go into soya beans farming, even as we are locked down now, right? Cotton wool fibers, corn, wheat, sorghum, barley, rice, animal feed, and all that. And actually, especially currently, natural honey is becoming very, very, very popular in China. The market is huge. This is because of the population in China and the fact that they are fake and unnatural, honey there. So you will want to also look into that. If you can get honey, natural honey into China, you make some good money. The other thing I want to speak about is the opportunity to set up a Chinese tour agency. Um, Currently, or just 2 years ago, Chinese tourists visit Africa a lot. About 60 million Chinese tourists visited Africa in 2017, right? That's a huge number. And Morocco actually is the most popular country in Africa with about 12.3 million tourists in 2018, right? The point I want to make is that setting up a travel and tour agency is actually something that you can take advantage of. The Chinese are looking, from different angles to enjoy life, right? So if you can find some culturally exotic routes that they will like, right? Chinese are always ready to come down. I feel if we have more of these travel and tour agencies, we will get more of these Chinese people into our countries to tour, and our governments can get money from that. The other opportunity I want to speak about is the fact that you can become a local supplier, right, to Chinese companies in Africa. Um, about 10,000 Chinese-owned businesses currently in Africa, and it's been realized, right? I mean, it has been found out that sourcing of these Chinese-owned businesses in Africa is just 47%, right, of their local inputs. In other words, all these Chinese companies source just 47% of their inputs locally. Why? Most of them say that the inputs or the raw materials here are of low quality and the prices are very high. So if you can get something quality and a good price, in other words, you can actually sell to Chinese companies in your country, right? So that is something you also want to look into, becoming a local supplier to Chinese companies in Africa. So let me just add the last one, that is, and especially for those in China currently, you can start being, I mean, having digital marketing, right? To have direct digital marketing in China, because this is an opportunity for people with great communication and marketing and business networking skills. And especially if you can speak Mandarin, there are thousands of business activities and transactions happening in China on a daily basis. This can be a very lucrative and profitable venture for you. So that is something you want to also look into. So these are 10 business opportunities that you can look into. Of course, we've already published 20 business opportunities on our website. I don't know how many of you have found that. Maybe Bridget, you can just quickly put the link there for people to check it out. We have 20 business opportunities for you that you can take advantage of. So these are 10, just so that you know for now. But you can visit our website and then you can learn more. We have 20 of them there. So these are the opportunities. Now, quickly, I don't know how much time I have, Bridget, but let me go straight into why you will need to learn a little bit of Chinese to maximize your business opportunities. As some of you might be aware, I mean, Chinese is one of the widely spoken languages in the world currently. About 1.2 billion people speak Chinese. And that is to say, about 1 in every 6 people speak Chinese currently. This is a huge number. If we consider the importance of learning Mandarin for business aspects, its importance even rises even further, right? And actually consider that China is already the second greatest economic power in the world, which begs the question that as to when learning Mandarin Chinese should be mandatory for aspiring international business people, right? With their metal. So that is just to give you an idea of what Chinese is currently in the world. So why should you learn Chinese to maximize? Why should you know a little bit of Chinese? Now, studying Chinese actually means that when you start learning Chinese, you get to know how Chinese people think. You get to know how Chinese people think. Very important. That is one of the reasons. Because beyond just transcending language barriers, when you begin to study Chinese, you actually get to know how to think, right? Now, let me give you an example. In China, um, guanxi, right, or if you want trust or relations, is very, very big. It's very, very big. You will gain a unique understanding of what it means to them. That is guanxi, relations, trust. Because in China, um, so that takes me to the second reason. So the first reason is you get to know how the Chinese people think, because when you begin to learn the language, you are exposed to their values, their beliefs, and their expectations. You know, you get to uncover and unravel these particular beliefs. The second reason why you need to is that you are able to build stronger relations, because developing a strong relationship with Chinese business partners usually precedes meeting at the official negotiating table. That is what you need to be aware of, and it's in many ways prominent to the deal itself. So let's say you are having a deal with the Chinese. your relationship, right? The business partner relationship precedes meetings at official negotiating table. In China, meetings and social events would always be pre-arranged, before any business talk takes place. So whilst a translator will still be necessary to fully interpret important business conversations, your ability to have a friendly dialogue, right, during social events uh, prior, such as your appreciation for China, your experience in the country, and general chit chat, right, will be highly praised if you know Chinese. So learning to speak with Chinese business partners in their native tongue always imparts a special advantage to anyone willing to learn a language for the sake of business, right? So it shows respect. If you're able to speak the language to a business partner, it shows them respect. And Chinese people always appreciate efforts, right? So even the ability to say ni hao, which means hello, or xie xie, right, in Chinese, thank you will be rewarded with beaming smiles in China. So it's a way to open up conversation. It's a way to open up strong relations with your business partner. The other reason why you need a little bit of Chinese is the fact that, of course, depending on how well you study the language, you can catch bad translations. This is very interesting because sometimes when you get a translator, even though they will translate for you, but knowing a bit of Mandarin in most cases will help you as a non-native speaker to catch some mistake during negotiations, right, with a business partner. The other reason, the other thing is that it can open up your next business opportunity. Now, like I said earlier, Chinese people appreciate when they hear foreigners speak the language. So let's say that you are on flight and you meet a Chinese and just say ni hao, right, which means hello, like I said. The Chinese people actually becomes interested in you, and it opens up the conversation. Who knows? He might as well offer you that big business opportunity that you've been looking for, right? So it's small, but if you look at it from that broader perspective, it can land you a very big business opportunity. You don't need to study a lot, just something to get along with, right? Um, I'm studying a little bit of Chinese, can also help you to save money, and you can maximize profit. And because I always say that business has a language on its own. And I was watching this documentary by Al Jazeera of this lady, a Togolese lady who went to China to do business, and she didn't know any Chinese, and she was going to buy a phone. She got into the market and she just said, "This, how much?" You know, of course, that is the business language, and they used hands. So 50. This one said, "No, I want it like that," and the transaction was successful, right? That is not to say you wouldn't need a translator, because big transactions you will need somebody to explain into details, right? The partnership. So if you know the Chinese, sometimes you are tempted not to even hire a translator, because if you're going for business has its own language, and you can actually find your way through. But of course, if you study the language very well, it can help you save money and you can maximize your profits. You wouldn't need a translator, depending on how well you study the language. In a nutshell, this is what I have for you this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you are. And I hope you have taken notice of them and you will take advantage, and we can make Africa great, right? So if you have any questions, you can pose them and I'll be sure to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sylvester. Thank you for that wonderful overview of the business opportunities that are available in and with China. I know we have a lot of younger students here, so some of these opportunities, obviously, with the starting capital required, it may not be opportune for you, but there are others that would probably be, like Sylvester said, he gave a range, others that would be more available for you as well. We also shared in the chat our article on 20 business opportunities Africans should consider now as China rebounds from the global pandemic. As Sylvester said, and as I mentioned earlier, China is currently the second largest economy in the world. By 2030 is going to be the largest, par none. There's nothing we're going to, there's it's I guess my point is it's undisputable, right? So we need to get prepared to engage with China as the economic power that it's going to be. I was also looking at some research this morning, and of the companies in the world that are worth over 1 billion, China China's companies actually takes the top two. The top most valuable company in the world is the company that owns TikTok right now in terms of valuation. So I want us to keep that in mind in having perspective around why we're moving with such urgency about getting Africans prepared to engage with China as economic actors, right? As empowered economic actors. So thank you so much again, Sylvester. At this time, we're going to have one of our Africans in China, Anthony, if you don't mind coming on video. Anthony is going to talk to us about how to get into the Chinese market, how he's been able to do it. I'm going to read his bio, and then Anthony, I'll make the floor available to you. So Anthony has been in China for over 5 years. He's currently an entrepreneur with a few brands under his belt. His investments are in areas such as um, education and career development, technology, tourism, and trade. He's currently the CEO and founder of VMon Technologies LLC, based in Beijing. Beijing, I don't know how to say this, Anthony. Tianjin? I should be learning
Yes,
Chinese.
Tianjin. That's right.
Tianjin and other
Yeah.
cities. Yes, he cooperates he cooperates, I'm sorry, startup castle with the Tianjin local government, a project that incubates early stage startups and connects founders to resources in the ecosystem for them to grow. So, Anthony, without further ado, welcome to our webinar. We have about 25 people here with us in Zoom, but we have many more with us on Facebook Live, and this will be recorded and watched elsewhere. So please give us as much tips and tricks as you can. Young Africans really want to position themselves well, to become as you are. So I'll leave the floor to you for the next 10 minutes. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, thanks for the time and thanks for having me. I think you guys are doing something awesome, you know.
Thanks so much.
Um, 5 years, 7 years ago when we came to China, there was nothing of this sort. And getting information is really tough. There are a lot of misconceptions out there,
Mm,
and that stops a lot of Africans from taking the next initiative,
mm,
especially when it comes to China. They feel that, okay, we're not worthy, we don't have the skill sets, or the market is too big. So these kind of gatherings and information are very, very much essential to moving us forward. We would love to have more entrepreneurs from the African world in China uh, to push us forward. Good. So yes, I think that China is too big to digest in 10, 15 minutes. And this topic is a whole topic that could be treated an entire semester as a module. But I'll try and do justice to as many as we can. I would list some of the programs, yeah, um, vehicles that people can use to enter the Chinese market, especially when it comes to strategy. And then we'll look at very important things that we should be taking notice of. I'm sure that Q&As are after this, so probably we can get a bit more specific with individuals. So first of all, I would like to talk about characteristics of the Chinese market. So for example, like, how does it look like? Um, and so, as you guys would know, it's a very vast, heterogeneous market. They never look alike. Very diverse. And for example, when you move from Beijing all the way to Beijing is just about 20 minutes from Tianjin, and you could see different diet systems. You can see different consumption patterns, different mindsets, and different ways of doing things. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're targeting such a market, you have to be niche specific. Don't get driven, don't get too excited about the size of the market. I mean, people say, okay, yeah, China has a middle class of about 800 million people. That's fantastic. That's like 3 or 4 times the size of American population. And the middle class are those who make the bad decision. But as an entrepreneur, you need to be niche specific. Look at very specifically what you want to do. For example, one of the guys we helped importing mangoes from, I think, Pakistan into China. And when we finished the market research, we noticed that there's a segment of Chinese who do not like sweet stuff, which means that the Pakistani mangoes are quite sweet in taste. And so we can't target these kind of people. We rather prefer to go towards that segment that so we need to understand that. So what products do they use? Just normal stuff, food, just like you and I. But beyond these features, they like to consume brands that are well known, brands that are strong enough. And Sly Sylvester mentioned that there's a lot of cultural insight in there. And so the concept of face in China, which means that people cherish a lot how they look in society, right? And so they like to consume products that have reputations. And so that's one of the factors you look at them. And how do they consume? Chinese are online addicts, and most of them, what do you call it? Offline shops are either integrating their offline into the online mode. And so people could just go, for example, IKEA or whatsoever, they go there, try the stuff, and then later make the buying decision online. And so that's also something you need to take into consideration. It's not going to be like, okay, I have a physical shop or I keep the goods somewhere. You have to make sure that you understand what it means like to market products online. It's something you have to know when entering the Chinese market. And how do they consume? Of course, that's online. So how do they make bad decisions? I mean, they belong to a group. So, for example, Chinese would like to make a decision just because someone shared something online. So, if you watch the business strategy of Pinduoduo, those of you who have who have been in China before or understand the e-commerce ecosystem, there is this platform called Pinduoduo, which is giving Alibaba a chase for their money. And the only thing they're doing right is they're using the concept of recommendation to drive up sales. So an average Chinese would make a decision because their neighbor or maybe a friend or someone they respect is sharing an information about a product. And so that's how powerful the Chinese society is. They belong to groups, and so decisions are made in groups. Now, the middle class consumers would purchase by discounts, and Chinese like to, they like to get a little discount, even it's as little as it is, they appreciate it. So that large middle income class, they love the discounts, even the slightest difference in pricing, they're going to kick you off the back. And so you see the rise of a lot of channels that are comparing prices here and there. So how do you enter the Chinese market? The multi-million dollar question. Um, there are very simple ways you can do that, depending on what you want to do in China. So if you don't have too much capital, you're just a normal entrepreneur who's starting from scratch. Starting slow and small is very essential. But there's a reasons why those who start small get eaten up in the value chain. There are several reasons for that. I'll talk a little bit about that. But first thing is direct exporting. So you can identify your clients and send them the product right there for them to use. And we call that direct exporting. Indirect exporting, that's using an intermediary. So let's say you have found a partner here in China whose audience are quite similar to yours. So then you get the goods through their platform, and then they then distribute it. It could either be through a franchise or something of that sort. We call that indirect. So if you have to sell on Alibaba and all that, we call that indirect export. Then we have investing directly. So for example, like having your own factory here in China, those are for the big guys. It's not easy to set up a factory, right? I mean, if that's something you want to explore, that option is also equally available. For example, where I'm located, the Chinese government could give you a plot of land, help you pull up the factory, especially if you know exactly what you're doing and you have the right business plans that will drive them consumptions and taxes. They're always there to support you. So those are the channels, but I would like to touch a bit on selling online, and then we'll go on tips that you should look out for when entering the Chinese market, since that's very essential and more practical. So when selling online, you can you can I mean, you can have a standalone website, but that shouldn't be the only driver of sales. You should integrate whatever you have. Yes, so for branding purposes, you need to have your brand should have a website, but that should be integrated into the ecosystem. So for example, you're selling on Taobao. There is this platform called Taobao where every Chinese usually goes to buy their products. The items there are quite cheaper. For those in China would know. And so it's called Taobao, Taobao. Yes, Taobao. People go there to buy their products a lot. And so if you can also integrate that into it, that would be great. Then there is the WeChat. So, I mean, like there are over 800 million active users on WeChat every day. And that's a huge traffic. So WeChat is the Facebook of, yes, the Facebook and the WhatsApp integrated into one single system in China. So people who wants to buy stuff, they have a wall, you can post your stuff. And then there are WeChat mini apps. So you can design a simple shop inside the WeChat. So people can visit and see your products, the prices. They can make buying decisions right there in the app, and it's very, very, very helpful. So if you can look at some of these ecosystems, that would be great. So when you want to, the best thing is a hybrid. You don't come with your website and say, hey, here I am, take me. No, no one would even give you, you might not even get the opportunity to meet whoever is interested in purchasing your product, but you should have a hybrid model, have your own website, and then integrate the ecosystems. There's some of them you can get on AliExpress. So the last time I checked, the cost of getting on AliExpress is it's over $5,000, and there are a lot of deposits you have to pay. So AliExpress wouldn't be ideal in this context. But what I think would be ideal to start with is WeChat. You have your WeChat groups, and have your WeChat official account, and start publishing content out there. And those of you who understand the concept of branding and content and digital marketing, these things drive traffic a lot, because when I see a beautiful article, I'll share, right? So as I share, other people will read, and then they follow your platform, and then it becomes an asset. So that's how you build followerships in China. And so if I found, let's say, an article about um, how to get back to China, a lot of international people are stuck outside China. They're trying to find their way back. And so let's say if your business provides visa services or whatever service, and you wrote a very beautiful article about how to go about it, step-by-step process of coming back to China. If I like it, I'm going to share. I have tons of group I'm in. People, when they finish reading and they love your article, your tone, the way it's organized, the next thing they're doing is they're following you right there. So it's very exponential when you start very small, and then you can build into it. Now, so let's take the tips one after the other. Okay, how many minutes do I have to finish this?
So we can take another 5 minutes and we'll leave the last 10 minutes for Q&A.
Okay, so first things first. Um, you should target visibility and reputation. And Chinese are very careful about that. So first, be careful of your reputation, whom you associate your brand with, and what your brand does. So some people go straight into corporate social responsibilities and volunteering and all that, and they put their brands out there. Chinese value that. So take that into consideration. Don't forget to dominate mobile. Always make sure that you are there. in a mobile scene to be seen. Um, of course, the consumer patterns are digitized, and it's a fast-paced environment. So if you're a foreigner, you're starting something, and the Chinese see it, they think that this has a prospect. They're going to come after you. They're very aggressive at business, and that's why you, from the word go, you need to associate yourself with a concept, either community belonging or something, and that way you may survive. So it's a very aggressive market, and the people will go after you when you come in there. So that's something you need to know. I've already talked about leveraging the local platforms. What is there? So yeah, Chinese forums. So there's this one called Xiaohongshu. Xiaohongshu is a platform where people go ask questions. That is the Quora of China. So if you know the platform called Quora, people go and ask questions and then others go and answer. You can use that as a very strong strategy. So let's say you're selling, what do you call it? Share butter. Good. So what are the advantages of using share butter? Chinese are health conscious. So if you can talk about some of those things and provide enough information, whilst they're searching, your content will be one of the first things that they will come across. So you have to act fast. Forget about whatever you know. China is a different playground altogether. And don't forget WeChat and WeChat store. Utilize the Weibos and all that. Yeah, I think most of the rest of the information you can get online. The last thing I would say is anytime you want to do business in China, find a trustworthy Chinese partner. Very, very essential. We incubate a lot of businesses in different areas, technology and all that. And navigating the Chinese scene is quite tough. So if you can find someone who is very trustworthy in the scene, that will be very helpful. Um, you should hire local. They have the knowledge, and you just have to make sure you play fair. That's all. And once you have the right set of team, the right partner, the sky is the limit. You can get a good share of what it would be to operate in China as a business. So yeah, I'll end it here, and then if there are any questions, we can take them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joseph, for that information. I myself have gotten so much out of it as I think about my next steps. At this time, we will be very happy to take some questions for either Joseph or Sylvester. I see something here from Victor. Um, so Victor says, as Sylvester mentioned, trust is something that Chinese do believe in a lot. If we now want to be brand ambassadors for some of these companies, how do we get them to believe us and also trust us to strike deals with? Yeah, you can please go ahead and take that,
Great.
Anthony.
Can I come in or Anthony comes in?
Yeah, go ahead. Then
Okay,
Anthony
so
can add
let
it.
me touch in then. Yes. So that is a great question, I guess. And so let's say that you're just getting into the Chinese market. I mean, you are trying to get a partner on board. He doesn't know you from anywhere. How do you get that trust? If you remember in the language section where I shared that you need to speak a little bit of Chinese, that is where it starts actually sometimes. So you meet somebody online and you just speak ni hao. That ni hao actually gives that person a sense of, okay, this person is interested in Chinese. So let me start with them. But you don't just start with English, and I'm not saying that they don't understand English, but if you can take a step, like speak Chinese, that is where the Chinese comes in. But of course, trust is built, I mean, over a long period of time. You don't just meet a partner and get it. So start bit by bit. And when you attend the first I spoke about, like MIE, you meet a business partner, you speak your little Chinese, ni hao, and that's where it starts. You take the WeChat or you take the contact and it starts from there. So Victor, I mean, the trust is built step by step, and Chinese can be a good way of building trust, like I shared earlier.
Thank you so much, Sylvester. And we'll talk a little bit about at the closing. I'll talk a little bit about, how do you get in that little bit of Chinese that Sylvester mentioned. Anthony, would you add anything else to especially if you're new in the space, how do you set up yourself so as to gain the trust of some of these Chinese partners?
Yeah, I think I've done a few recommendations for some of these Chinese companies, especially in area of what do you call it, renewable energy and uh, there's solar panels and all the stuff. They were looking for distributors. Now, I think that when the Chinese are looking to enter into your markets, sometimes the barrier of trust is quite low. um, they know that you're going to sell, you're going to help them. So they will do whatever it takes to equip you with the skills and knowledge you need in order to represent them properly on the in the African space. But of course, yes, they're going to trust you with a lot of product and all that. So you need to. But one thing I would like to say is one thing that has been my guide over the years is appear prepared, right? Don't show up or don't talk to a Chinese and you're mumbling, you don't know your figures, you don't understand who their target consumers are, and you're just showing up, I want to be a brand ambassador. No one is going to take you serious. Now, what have you done before, and how does that translate into your performance? They want to know how effective you're going to be. So if you can show them that, hey, although I'm starting new, this is what I've done before. I understand the market, have few connections here and there. They're willing to, they appreciate that kind of hard work. And of course, their fear, the number one fear for Chinese is the language. They fear there might be miscommunication. So, for example, when we were going on the last project we had with the Chinese government, and the fear was, how do we communicate with these guys? Is this going to be easy? But then after the matters, they were like, oh, okay, it's easier to handle. So yeah, those are some of the tips that I would wish you appear prepared.
Awesome. So I definitely heard language from Sylvester and Anthony. If I heard you correctly, one of the
Yeah.
things you mentioned was getting a referral. Seems like you do that a big, getting referrals for someone who is in the market, right? So if you know an African who's doing business in China, they can provide a referral for you to some of these Chinese partners, because that helps to build a link of trust that may not be there from the onset. And you also mentioned the language as well as coming prepared. So, who was it that asked? Victor, I hope that gives you some context on how to start those conversations. I'm going to go to Wilson's question. Wilson says, and then I'll check Facebook. I haven't forgotten about Facebook. So if you have any questions, you're watching via Facebook Live, please put it in the comment. I'm going to go to Facebook Live after I read some of these questions. So Wilson says, how can we get material for mineral resource products from Africa? Um, so I'm not sure if he's asking how Africans can get mineral resource products from the
No.
continent. Wilson, do you
Yeah,
mind clarifying? I don't know if you understand what he's saying,
I
Anthony.
guess he's saying how they can sell mineral resources in China
Okay,
and
yeah,
in the links. Right. So I mean, those are treacherous waters. Very tough industries. There is a lot that comes with in terms of documentations and requirements. But if you have the relevant government connections and could give them the documents they require, um, in that space, I think our brothers have messed up a lot in that area in terms of fraud issues and all that.
mm,
So doing mineral resource business over an online transaction might be a little bit difficult. What I would recommend is if you have access to any of those resources and you want to sell, uh, try working with probably an African who has a business here in China and who can have access to such people who has already got their trust, and then you can work it out from there. But online, it would be really tough to make any progress.
awesome.
Um, yes, and also there is a lot of regulations on how these things are done. And so if you're, it's not like, okay, I have a piece of land that has gold, and I want Chinese who want to extract it. You get no one. You should know the industry very well and how to target them. So yeah, that's it about the mineral side. Look for someone who is in the space in China, who is respected and who can recommend. and then use that channel to drive out some meaningful conversations.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Anthony. Okay, so we're going to take our last question for this session here. I know some of our students are also eagerly anticipating the scholarship information bit we have coming right after. So thank you for your patience for that. So Anthony, I believe this question is for you as well. Godfrey says that he's been receiving requests from Chinese companies, especially in the logistics field. Last week, one Chinese company wanted him to help them sell their trucks in Kenya, but their commissions are small. How can this be improved? And also, he's having some issues around terms and conditions. And terms and conditions are also tough. So perhaps if you can provide some perspective around that.
All right, so and there are a lot of Chinese truck manufacturers out there, and so if that is something you can very much well provide a resource or access to market, let them know that you can also source these materials yourself. Let them know that you understand what it takes to get it done. When they know that, probably they might be open up to negotiations. And like I said, Chinese love to negotiate. If a Chinese gives you a term and conditions and you accept it in the face of it, um, all right, sure. Someone taught me something. I mean, it was in the process of getting to deal with Chinese. He says, when you're dealing with the Chinese and he's laughing all the way, it means he's getting a lot of value out of you. And when he's squeezing his face, then you should know that probably you're doing something very good. So the first offer, I mean, you should throw it off the window. You guys should negotiate and talk. And like I said, um, they 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 understand the concept of mutual trust. It doesn't mean that you disrespect them with conversations. Always make sure that you're very respectful, but also very professional. So as you're negotiating, you tell them, okay, I can do this, but you do your research first. What is the cost of these trucks in Africa, and what does it cost as a wholesale in China? Try and extrapolate the cost of the import cost into Kenya and all that, and have a fair idea of what is realistically, um, the commission that you can benefit from it. Then you're in a better position to negotiate. So you don't walk into a negotiation and say, okay, I deserve $100 on each truck that is sold out there. Maybe the industry benchmark is maybe $50 and you're making a fool of yourself. And he will say, oh, this guy doesn't understand the market. He stops answering your emails and that's it. So do your research first and know what you're negotiating for. Then you can make it proper. Some genuinely, the cost of sending those bicycles all the way to Africa is very high, and the cost of clearing them from the ports are also very high. So you need to know what you're negotiating for. So yeah, that will be very important. Terms and conditions. Yes, if you think your reputation is very important, right? Now the internet is quite interesting. Someone can write something about you, and it follows you for the rest of your life. And so don't be focused on only the money and forget about the terms and conditions. If you see something in there you don't like, that is too stringent, or maybe that is tightening you both hand and foot, please just tell them, okay, this one I won't accept. Um, they won't do you anything. If they feel that okay, they can accommodate a revised version, why not? They would always do. So if you feel the terms and conditions are tough, please renegotiate and make sure you walk into that negotiation with strong information on what you expect from them.
And Bridget, let me just chip in something briefly, which I think is very important. The Chinese believe in documentation, right? Whatever it is, they will ask you to put it in paper, right? Put it on paper and send it to me. They believe in signing. They don't believe in just speaking it out and that's it. So I will advise that as you go into partnership and representing these companies, please make sure you put the contract, make it legal, right? Put it in paper. Don't just speak it over phone and that is it. Make sure, right, it is documented. And I think it's very important. The Chinese believe in that a lot.
All right. Thank you both so much. So friends, we are at the end of this session on business with and in China. As Anthony aptly said, there's no way we can delve into the nuts and bolts of this, of how to do business with China, which is a population of over 1 billion and a market size of God knows how big, in just 1 hour. So as Anthony said, we want to be a continued resource for our community. This is not going to be the last of it. So we hope you continue to stay engaged with us. Do sign up for our newsletter. Do check out our website for the resources that we mentioned. Anthony, we hope we can come and get you for another series to learn more about the incredible work you're doing in China as well. I know you didn't get to speak about that as much today.
Sure. I'm
Okay.
more than happy to share.
Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. So friends, if you're here for the business section, this will be all. Before you go, however, we did put together, let me quickly get the link for you. We did put together a special, based on the interest in business, we put together a special product that we are looking to provide for the market. It's a introduction to Chinese for Africans in business class. It's a virtual class, so no matter where you are on the continent, you can join us for that class. It'll be taught. Oops, I sent it to Sylvester. It'll be taught by Sylvester, starting next week Saturday. It'll be about an hour for 4 Saturdays, 2 hours for 4 Saturdays, just to get you up and running, as both Sylvester and Anthony discussed. So if you're interested in having just the knowledge, to have those initial conversations, to build the trust, please do sign up for the class. We're keeping it very small. We're testing it out to see if it'll be useful to our community. We'll close out the registration by next week Friday. So if you're interested, please do make an effort to get in there. We've reduced the price significantly, just so that we can get in as many people as possible. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much. So now we're going to switch to the education portion. We have just 30 minutes from a Schwarzman alum, pardon me, a Schwarzman alum. So as you all know, Schwarzman is a 1-year master's program for young people all around the world who are looking to build leadership capacity around China. A lot of young Africans have been doing the Schwarzman and they have found it incredibly valuable. We have also seen that it's been incredibly valuable for building leadership capacity on the continent. So applications are open and they actually close on the 19th or so, we believe. So today we're honored, just a week before the deadline, we're really honored to have with us a Schwarzman alum, Victor, who's going to talk to us about the application process. Whether or not you're able to do it this year or get in this year, we hope we can put that to the side and really think about the future. How do we use the information you're going to get today to prepare you to perhaps apply next year, or the year after? So without further ado, Victor, I see that you're on the on.
Joseph,
Oh, Joseph. Why am I
yes,
saying
it's on.
Victor? I see Victor and Joseph. So Victor, I'm sorry for saying your name. Joseph, your name should have been the one I was saying. My sincere apologies, Joseph. So Joseph, I do see that you're on. Please come on video and audio so that we can begin to engage with you. Our young Africans are very excited to have this conversation with you. So Victor, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about why you got into Schwartzman, what you've gotten out of it, and perhaps some tips and tricks for our young Africans here, and then we'll open it up for questions in the next, let's say 20 minutes or so.
Great. It's so good to be speaking with you all today, and it's very great. Sylvester, thanks for the invitation, and it's always a pleasure to meet and engage young Africans. I think, like many of you, my curiosity for applying to the program really started when I was a second year in uni. So during that second year, I did my undergrad in the US. And I came back to Ghana during that summer. And, I left feeling a little bit uneasy. I left with some level of frustration. I had seen in the news, of course, Galamsey, But also on the other hand, I had seen all the infrastructure projects, the roads, the dams, and all that. And so I left feeling, this sense of uneasiness. On one hand, I was very pissed off by the way the relationship was going between Ghana and China. But on the other hand, I knew that it was so beneficial and it was going to be important for Ghana's development, but also mutual cooperation between Ghana and by extension the continent and China. So I wanted to study that relationship some more. I wanted to gain more, sort of in-depth understanding about how that relationship, developed. And for me, a natural progression for that was the Schwarzman Scholars Program. It's a year-long residential, all-expense-paid master's program based at Tsinghua University. I think if you are Chinese or you've been to China or you understand Chinese higher education, you can pretty much say this is the, Harvard of China, or, maybe in Ghanaian circles, the UG of China, right? It's very prestigious, with so many famous alumni. President Xi, went to Tsinghua, and so many influential Chinese went to Tsinghua University. The program is structured in a way that you get a master's in global affairs, and it's just 1 year long, very packed. You get a chance to travel extensively in China to meet government officials, to ask questions that you have about China, and then you get to meet a cohort of young people from all over the world, right? I think in my class there were 45 countries represented. Since it was residential, we all lived in the same building. And it was really amazing to connect with these young people who had all come to China because they were all there to connect with this country that has emerged onto the global stage as a force to reckon with. A lot of them had their challenges. Some of them were pissed off like I was, in the past. If I was to talk about the 50 countries that I want to visit in my lifetime, China never featured on that. But all of a sudden, when I saw the level of the engagement, all of a sudden, China became so important to me. And I think whether we like it or not, as Africans, China will continue to be important. So the question then becomes, how do we navigate that importance in a way that is mutually beneficial? I think we always talk about this idea of win-win. How do we make the relationship truly win-win? And I think for me, that is what sent me, to China. And it was a phenomenal, program in terms of the content, right? You get to have a deep dive into China from a historical perspective, but also an economics perspective in terms of how China has been able to, lift, millions of people out of poverty, what kind of policies and programs the government put in place to help achieve that. And if you're African, you're probably wondering, how can we take away some of the best practices from that Chinese experience to alleviate poverty here, where we're talking about much lower numbers than China did. And so for me, that was the curiosity, that was the push. I must add that the program is very selective. The application deadline is on the 22nd, so it's very, very, very extremely close to the deadline. And so if you're considering apply, that you want to apply, maybe you want additional information, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But also, if you're interested in getting into this class, you probably want to get started with your application now. There are about 3 essays that you write. You need 3 letters of recommendation, your academic transcript to be able to apply to the program. But to be very honest with you, it's worth it. The kind of people that I met in China, and the contacts, right, that you make, the new things that you learn really is transformational. I'm back here in Ghana, and I've been doing work in the healthcare sector, and part of my transition into doing this work is because I spent some time in China, and the company was looking for someone who has some form of Chinese experience to work with a Chinese partner. So those are some of the opportunities that can come out as a result of really taking a deep dive and trying to understand, China, and having some form of academic experience in China today. So I think, to avoid going on and on and on, I think I'll pause here. I would want to invite some questions from the audience, and I'll be more than happy to answer those at this point.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I think that was so timely in terms of giving us perspective on, not only why the program, but why it's so important for our continent. And as you shared some of the frustrations we all have, how can we begin to use opportunities in the Chinese space to leverage that as learnings to fix some of the issues that we really care about. So thank you so much. So I actually don't see any questions in the chat at this point. I'm quite surprised by that. So let's start off with my questions. Maybe it'll kind of open it up for our younger folks who may be a bit shy about it. What do you think the committee, obviously you're not a committee member, an admissions committee member, but what do you think you're looking for? What makes a candidate attractive when you're looking at applications to join the fellowship program? Joseph, are you there? Oh no, so I see that his screen is blank.
Yeah, I think Joseph is frozen.
Okay,
okay,
he's back.
He's back now.
Yes. Yes.
Connection just went off for some reason.
Yeah, no worries about that. So Joseph, yes, my question to you, I see questions now coming in. But Joseph, if you can take my question first, and then Sylvester will read off the other questions as I head out. But Joseph, can you let us know what you think the admissions committee is looking for in applications? What would make our candidates attractive and get them a spot in the fellowship?
Great. I think that for a lot of, young Africans are driven, right? They see problems within their communities. They want to solve it. They want to start new businesses. They want to start new organizations that tackle some of the most pressing problems. I think often, part of the challenge really is that, being able to articulate that in an essay in a way that is compelling is what sort of weeds out a lot of us from becoming competitive. I think, these kinds of applications don't really require you to jumble, and put everything in there. Maybe you've done 20 things in your lifetime. You want to put everything in there. It's really about being selective, right? What does leadership mean to you? For me, cliche as it may sound, it was really about, being transformational, having an impact. And so my essays really communicated impact. So what are some of the things that I've done that I feel has had an impact on the lives of people? And how do I think that leveraging a Chinese experience will allow me to further, have a more compelling impact, beyond that. And so I think if you're considering applying, there's so many things that goes into it. Be able to articulate your leadership, your work experience. What kind of experiences have you had? What kind of academic pursuits and passions do you have? And being able to become picky with the kind of things that you pick, and be deliberate about taking those things and crafting an essay that makes sense. These programs are looking for people who are passionate about, who, not necessarily know, what the next 20 years look like for them, but they have a better understanding of who they are and what their contributions would be in the world, especially when it has to do with China. And so being able to articulate that, I know a lot of you are doing some China-related activity, you're doing well academically, or you're starting some initiatives. Be very picky. Choose those examples that allow you to tell your story in a way that is powerful. And of course, there are some very simple things like make sure your essays are proofread properly, no grammatical errors, no, short hand, words, and, all those things. Make sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and, your essays are very clean and free of any form of typos or errors in that way. So I think those are some of the things that, if you do well, will make you more attractive to getting this opportunity.
Right, Joseph. Thanks so much. So we have a couple of questions still here for you. So please, if you have more questions for Joseph, kindly put it in the chat column and we'll be sure to read it. Betty said, if you are to apply next year, please, what are we supposed to do now? I guess you've just touched on it, but if you have something more to say, that if one is to apply next year, what do they do? What are we supposed to do now? Would you like to respond to that, Joseph?
Yes, if you want to apply next year, definitely look at the application this year because the application doesn't change radically year on year. So look at the application, look at the essay questions that are there, begin to think about them. Think about your personal story. What aspects of your personal story really would allow you to tell a good story, a good and compelling sort of, write up when it comes to the essays, statement of purpose. Why do you want to go to China? Why China? How does a Chinese experience, how is that going to help you? What does leadership mean to you? What have you done in your lifetime to exhibit that? So if you download the application this year, it will give you enough time to think through the questions. It will give you enough time to ask the people that you need to ask for recommendation letters in advance. And you tell them, look, I'm applying to this opportunity next year, but I want to tell you now that I'm going to need a letter of recommendation. And this is what I want you to, think through. I want you to communicate this about me, that about me. Be very deliberate in who you choose. Recommendation letters are not, picking the most important person within the organization or the big names, right? It's really about who knows you and who can speak to your character, who can speak to your academic achievement, and who can speak to your leadership. So pick those people now, give them a heads up so they can know that this is coming up in the future. Look at the application criteria on the website. Read everything you can read on the website. Watch all the YouTube videos you can about the program, and really try to understand or try to get yourself why you want to apply to this program, so that when the time comes and you're writing your essays, everything will come together full circle.
Great, great, great. We have another question here, Joseph. Thanks for that answer. This is from Facebook, actually. They say that, did you pursue the program in your third year? That is, did you defer your course and later continued? What happened? I think this is an interesting question.
Yeah. So this is a master's program. So one of the criteria for applying is you need an undergraduate degree. So you cannot leave your undergraduate program and you need to finish your first degree, as we say here. You need an undergraduate degree in order to apply to that. So you can apply to it in your final year of uni, knowing that you can go to the program afterwards because you would have graduated. So that is one of the criteria. You cannot take a year off, go to it, and come back. You need to finish your degree first if you haven't.
Got it. Got it. Thanks so much. We have another question from Victor, who says that what really, so I think you've touched on some of this aspect. What really are the requirements, right? And also, how different is the course, right? Global affairs and affairs different from international relations. I don't know. Maybe they are going deep into the courses you have had there. So global affairs, what's the difference between global affairs and international relations? I think that's another question there for you if you want to touch on it.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely. So the global affairs program at Schwarzman is really, it has as its foundational, aspect. We have a leadership core and we have a China core, and then we have courses in public policy, international studies, and economics and business. Right, those are the core. One of the cross-cutting themes is China. So a lot of your classes would have some form of China connections. The global affairs course has a lot of content around international relations, international affairs, how countries work with each other, China's rise, what that means for global affairs, for international relations and all that. So I think global affairs is more encompassing, because we also explore things like global issues, right? Some of the issues that transcend borders, like migration, terrorism, arms and all that. So the master's is extremely broad. But part of graduating from any master's program is you have the opportunity to write a capstone project where you get to work with one advisor who would help you hone in on a particular aspect that you care a lot about. People write about AI, business. I wrote about technical and vocational education because I was very fascinated by what China had done in that space. So there are so many things that you can end up doing as part of this course, but you need to see IR, international studies, and all that sort of embedded into the global affairs program that we have at Schwarzman.
Great, 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 great. I think this is very informative, and I hope our participants have learned a lot from it. If you have any further questions before we wrap up in the next 10 minutes or less, you can unmute yourself if that is possible, and ask, or you can put it in the chat. But before you do that, I would like to re-emphasize Africans on China Mandarin classes for people in business. Today we spoke a lot about business, and I think most of you will want to join in, want to sign up for our course. I'm going to put the link inside again, so that you can follow and register. Okay. So this course is different from other courses because it's business and things, right? We're going to teach you the basics of Mandarin, how to get by, right? And most importantly, we're going to teach you the business culture, the Chinese business culture, which I think is very important if you are somebody looking out to do business in China, right? So please sign up for our course. We've reduced it to the barest minimum so that you can take part in it. It's packed, and we're going to make sure that at least after you finish, you're able to get along with the Chinese. You can converse with the Chinese for a while to open up those business opportunities that we spoke about right now. Yes. So any other questions? If you have some more questions, please feel free. This is actually a very prestigious scholarship. For some reason, I tried it, right? That was 2 years ago when I was still in the University of Ghana. And I think Joseph has answered the question why that year I couldn't get through. I hadn't graduated yet, and I wanted to push my way through, the program. In other words, I wanted to defer my course and come back and continue. And I think it's one of the requirements. I couldn't get through successfully, even though I got another scholarship in the China Foreign Affairs University. So Schwarzman is a very prestigious scholarship. You want to try it, you want to apply, and I am sure you can be successful at that, right? Of course, there are other scholarships Africans on China will be sharing as time goes on our website and our social media platforms. You want to visit our platforms frequently to get abreast with these opportunities and take advantage of them. Yes, so we don't have more questions here. I think, Joseph, thanks so much. I think you've done justice to introducing Schwarzman to our participants today. And I hope we've all learned, we've all gotten prepared. But of course, if you have more questions about Schwarzman, you can reach out to Africans on China, and we can connect you with the various alumni that we know, right? Joseph, for one, we'll find a way of making him to respond to your questions as you prepare for next year, because I believe this year might be too late. You wouldn't maybe get through it, but of course you can still try it and see. So thank you all so much. We appreciate your time with us, Africans on China. Our aim and our objective remains undaunted. We are focused on elevating the African voice and China's presence on the continent. We are poised on empowering the African, right, especially the African youth, and make sure that we position ourselves in a way that we can benefit from China-Africa relations. We will continue with the conversation. We have events coming up. We have programs here and there. Please do follow us, and you will know what is happening with Africans on China. So without much ado, I think that is it for today. Thank you all so much. We'll keep in touch via emails and social media so that we provide you with more amazing stuff and we can all be empowered and take advantage of China's rise in Africa and the world. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day. Good night, wherever you are, if it is your night, and have a nice time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us.